What's up, everybody? The Recovery. If you ain't subscribed, hit the subscribe button so you become part of the Recovery family. Also, guys, we got a great video today. My buddy NoXus is going to share and answer some questions I have for him on his recovery and his addiction. So, guys, we're going to just jump right into it. Also, I'm going to put a link in the comments for his channel so you can check out his music. But let's jump into it. Good story.
How's it going? Alright, how's everybody doing today? Good. I'm NoXus. I've been gonna do this interview for Jeff in the recovery for quite some time. So here goes. Forgive me for not doing this sooner. Also, my background is my future studio. We recently moved into a house and we're remodeling it. So this is where my studio is going to be someday soon. It's hard to see that. By studio, I mean music studio. I write, record, produce music. That is what I do to keep my mind busy. That's my new addiction, if you will. So, Jeff's got a few questions for me, and the first one, it looks like, is, forgive me, I'm using my phone for notes. What was my addiction like at its worst? So let me just give you a little bit of background real quick. My parents were married and we were living on the east side of Flint, and my mom and dad came up northern Michigan to visit some family, and their car broke down, and during that time I was born at the hospital they were near. After they got situated, we moved back to Flint. When I was 3, my parents divorced. When I was roughly 7, we moved back up north again. My mom, my sister, and I, and one of my mom's past husbands. So we lived in subsidized housing. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. We lived in apartments, and down the road from us were where the rich kids lived, what I call the rich kids, silver spoon kids. I'm not here to label anybody or judge anybody, just telling my story. So from that time on, I saw the life these other kids had, and it's something I wanted. So as I grew up, I lived in many different places, many different towns, went to a lot of different schools, just like some of you, and ultimately, I believe I was in 5th grade, the first night I really tied one on good, as they would say, and a friend of my mom's, their sons were over, and we were playing Nintendo, and it was snowing in northern Michigan, and they convinced me it was going to be a snow day, and we drank beer, and I got drunk. I was 9, I believe, and I went to school the next day, and I had a hangover in 5th or 6th grade, 5th grade, I think, and after that, hit 6th grade, started smoking weed. Ultimately, I think at that time I was just experimenting, finding out what it was about. I'd seen it, I wanted to know what it was, what it did, could it make me feel better, could it get rid of some of these past things I'd went through, could it block it out of my mind, basically. The answer is no, it can't. So basically, once I got to middle school, I was seeing that other kids had nice clothes, nice shoes, nice stuff, material items. Now that I'm almost 40, I'll be 40 next month, I realize that none of that material shit matters. It really doesn't. But anyways, so I did not have the means of getting that nice stuff. My mom couldn't buy it for me. At that time, I rarely spoke to my dad. He probably could have bought it for me, but he didn't. I wasn't seeing him. So I started figuring out that what I could do was I could use this drug that other people liked also, and I could make a little money with it. So that began that chapter of my life, basically. And so what I ended up doing was, my ultimate drive, I believe, was not only to cover up my past, but to make money so I could fit in. Once again, now in life, I don't want to fit in. I definitely don't want to. And I don't. And that's one thing. I'm proud to be in recovery. I'm not ashamed of it. I'll stand firm in my beliefs that this is what I need to be doing, and if you have a problem, it's what you need to be doing too. This is probably one of my most serious videos I've ever done, and I have a hard time talking to people, so it's easier to sit in a basement and talk to an electronic device. So anyways, back to my story. As the years went on, I worked, I partied, I worked a little bit, and I partied a lot. I started moving into other drugs at a young age, in my teens, and with these drugs, ultimately I was trying to make money, but as you have them at your dispense, you use them because it's right there. And ultimately, I was telling myself I was getting them for free because I was making money to cover it and blah blah blah. So I began to use more, therefore I had to get rid of more so I could do more, and the cycle went on and on. Ultimately, I've obviously been in and out of many rehabs, just like you. I don't talk about this often, but I've also spent a little time in the psych ward or the behavioral unit, whatever you want to call it. I believe that probably a lot of it was a spin-off of what I've done to my brain, to my body, from substance abuse. And once again, I have a past that haunts me, basically. I have a song about it. Many songs reflect it. So, I would say at my worst, I was living in another state, and I was moving a lot of white to supply my needs, basically. And along with that, obviously, I was drinking heavily, and everything else I could get my hands on went in my mouth. So I'm not going to get deep into that. In my opinion, to sit there and glorify that is not what I do, and and some people can share their story and they're not glorifying it, but in my opinion, that's a part of me that's gone, and now you see the new me, the sober for almost 5 years, clean and sober from everything, me. I'm NoXus. I'm also Steve. So it's nice to meet you guys. The Recovery, thanks for having me on your channel. I also met up with Uncle Danny, who seems really cool, and did some reaction videos. What they are doing, the Recovery, Jeff, Uncle Danny, is great. So keep doing what you're doing. Let's see what the next question is. So I didn't really get into at my worst on Jeff's question. There might be another interview to where maybe I'll get in depth a little bit more for some of you that might relate to it. Let me make sure I'm recording. Okay, good deal. I haven't used my camera in a while. Okay, so let's see, some of the things that helped me get clean. In 2013, I reunited with who is now my wife. We had went to college together and hung out, partied, dated, did all that stuff back in the day, stayed in contact, and then many years later, we reconnected, and at the time we were both still using, and on May 13th, 2015, following a night of stupidness, we both decided that enough is enough. And here's a tattoo my wife designed. This is what I call, quote, rested. And for me, that means you're rested, your mind is rested by sleeping, and it's also rested because you don't have substances in it. So that's, quote, rested, you might hear in some of my songs. May 13th, 2015. This right here, if you can see it, August 23rd, 2014. That's when we got married. So since May 13th, 2015, we've been completely clean and sober from everything. Some people do their recovery with moderation or medication or whatever. That's up to you. That's fine. I'm a firm believer that everybody's recovery is different, and not any one type of recovery is meant for everyone. Not everyone needs to go to AA. Not everyone needs to go to NA. Not everyone needs to go to AARP, AAA, Triple B, Triple C, whatever. You get the point. My wife is definitely one of the people who helped me get clean and sober. We did it together. A lot of people and places don't recommend that you try to do that because it could be hard, and it is hard. But we did it, and it is possible. So I have beautiful sons. They're another reason. I'm not too close to a lot of my family. In some of the songs you'll hear me say, quote, family and friends, because that's what it is. Anyway, yeah, questions like these get the mind jogging, so there may be a need for another follow-up interview. So what helps me day to day to stay clean? is music. I love music. I make songs. Check me out. Check out all my songs. You'll hear some of the lyrics. Just a few of the lyrics I have posted have some past stuff in it. Most of them are good, clean, present day lyrics. And they'll get better. I'll get better. And hopefully in the recovery community, my music will get out there and people can relate to it and listen to it and have a recovery artist to listen to on their way to work, on their way to school, on their way to the moon, wherever you're going. For me, music is my outlet, and I can write a song and get stuff out of here, off of here. I can get it out. And for me, that helps me. Another thing that helps me is when I can wake up in the morning and I don't have a hangover and I know where my wallet's at, I know where my keys are at. I don't know where my car's at. Yeah, actually I do. I have a car. I didn't drive it last night because unfortunately the system still has its ways of believing that you got to go to AA to follow their rules to get your L's back, and that's another thing that needs to be changed, but that's another topic for another time. So on a day-to-day basis, basically what keeps me clean. Also another thing is, if you can see it, I've got a tattoo on my hand that says stay sober. I put that there intentionally, obviously. It's something that I can look at when I'm doing stuff, working on stuff, when I'm just sitting, which is not very often because I stay quite busy. Ultimately, though, I look at my family, I look in the mirror, and that helps me stay sober. Some very brief reflections on the past are good. It's not good, in my opinion, to sit there and dwell on the past, because that can be very, very bad and turn ugly. So let's see here. What advice would I give somebody still using? So some advice that I would give somebody still using is to stop using. And it's not as easy as that, for sure. But ultimately, you need to stop using. And hopefully, maybe by listening to some of our stories, Jeff's, Unc's, whoever's, I haven't had time to dig deep into their recovery community and other people's stories. I've got a house for sale. I'm remodeling a house. I, in August, went through some stress type issues, had a breakdown. I ended up resigning from my job. That's a long story too. So anyway, yes. So some advice I would give is take that first step. Go get help, ask for help. It's okay to get help. It's okay to ask for help. If a person needs help, ask for help. Put your pride on the ground and stomp its head in. Okay? This is a matter of life or death. It really is. I've had friends that have died. I'm sure a lot of you have too. Friends, family, whatever. So it is a matter of life or death. So put your pride on the ground. And if anybody tells you you're a pussy or you're not strong because you ask for help or because you can't take it, that's bullshit. They're lying, and one day they're going to find out, and they're going to be the ones laying on the ground crying, okay? And that's when you're going to help them up because you're going to be strong enough. So, yeah, my advice is to get help, and then once you get help, get yourself away from the wet faces, wet places, blah, blah, whatever, however that goes. Get yourself out of the shit. Get yourself away from it. Get yourself in an environment and surrounded by people that will support it. What I had to do was get myself away from almost everyone. And not everybody can handle that because not everybody's strong-minded. And for some people, that'll make it worse. So I'm not recommending that for everyone. That's what works for me. For me, the less people I'm around in general, typically, the less drama, the less bullshit, the less stuff that gets you worked up and makes you want to have a drink, go for a walk, blah, blah, blah. So another thing I wanted to touch on real fast is in my lyrics, you will hear a lot of stuff, and anything that sounds like it might be real, it is real. Now, you might hear me throw in something about a monkey or a Daniel Boone hat, or throwing my doo-doo at you like a monkey do, or something like that. Obviously, I'm not going to throw my doo-doo at you. Well, I'll try not to. But overall, the lyrics are real. So, you might hear a song about me being strapped down or cuffed or took a walk or cried or whatever. That's real. I don't make music I don't make music for people. I make it for me. That didn't sound quite right, but it is. I do. So, and if you can relate to it, cool. If you can't, cool. If you don't like it, cool. I don't care. So, let's see here. Okay, so, like I was saying earlier, I really got going on my addiction at a young age, in my teens. Obviously, I started when I was 9, and, when I was 12, obviously I was smoking weed every day, blah, blah, blah. And then it went to heroin, coke, liquor, beer, blah, blah, blah. So with that, there are many nights where I could have easily died, and thank God, God watches over me. Whether you believe or not, that's what I believe, and to me, that's what's up. So there's a lot of nights where I could have been the person that died. Now, I definitely have dealt with friends and family that have died from addiction. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Pill. It's not funny. It's real. And basically, yeah. So all I can say to somebody out there listening that is not in recovery yet and is thinking about it, do it. Do it. Put your money where your mouth is. Quit talking shit and do it. Just like anything else in life, nothing's going to happen unless you make it happen, okay? You're not going to sit on the couch getting drunk and high, and all of a sudden the recovery fairy's going to come by and drop a puff of recovery dust at you and poof, you're recovered. No, you got to do it. You got to work for it, and you got to work every day at it, because it can easily slip away and be gone, and you can be right back where you started, or worse, or dead. So anyway, I'd like to thank the recovery for letting me get a little bit of this out. Definitely check out my music. You can find me on YouTube by searching Flint, Flint, space, NoXus, NoXus. I'm on SoundCloud, NoXus 810, Reverb Nation, NoXus 810. I've got like 340 some videos on YouTube. They're not all full videos. I do pretty much everything myself. I have some friends of mine that make instrumentals, so if you're out there and you want to make an instrumental for me, get a hold of me. Time to Shine Studios at live.com is my email. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I don't do social media. I just don't. So that's another one of those things I do to stay away from my past. So right now, life is good. Life is crazy busy. Like I said, we got a house for sale. We're remodeling a house. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. So I am, like I said, sitting in what will be my studio. As I look around, it's hard to see that right now, but I'll give you guys a quick little shot. That'll be the mic booth. Just enough room. Alright, thanks. Stay clean.